I'm not going to read the disclaimer. I'm just going to summarize for everybody here. We're not financial advisors, right? Don't trade with money you don't have. Take a moment, read the disclaimer. Just understand there are risks that are involved with trading, plain and simple. And one thing that you will find here, we're going to talk a lot about prop trading because it is a great way to leverage somebody else's money to trade and get paid out on. What we specialize in is how to get people funded with a easy to follow strategy. So there's a lot of different things that we do, but we're going to be pretty laser focused today. Okay. So most people, they get into trading. They think they need a lot of money, right? It's who do I learn from? There's a lot of questions that really run through our heads, and there's a lot of risk involved if you don't know what you're doing. Patrick has a famous saying that anyone in his room will hear him. If you think it's expensive now, wait till it's free. Did I summarize that properly, Pat?
Perfectly.
So we're gonna go over a few things of what you need to get started. There is some money that is required on your end, but I want you to think of this as like 90% of what you're learning, or 90% of what we expect out of you, we're gonna give you. You just got to provide that extra 10%, which is the execution on what you've learned, right? So, and then the money that's involved. We'll cover all that. This isn't going to be overly long. We're going to try to keep this to about a half an hour. So if you have questions, we will leave some time at the end. So with that being said, I'm going to get into, you just heard Zanetti. Zanetti is a one of the owners. As he said, he eats his own dog food, right? Pat and Zanetti have been in the industry, just in the financial industry, 20 plus years, 25 years. Zanetti was a former investment banker. Patrick, a former day trader. How long have you been teaching now? We've been saying 15 years for about
We've
five
been, yeah,
years.
we've been saying 15 years for 20 years.
So, so he's
And
been at,
before that, I was seven licensed, 66. I was one of a handful of guys at Wachovia who could trade collateralized debt paper, Series 3, Series 34. Every freaking license you can possibly imagine in the trading business, maybe one of a handful of people who hold these licenses. So I know a little bit about risk.
you understand risk, right? And when you prop trade or just even trade your own money, if you don't understand risk, then you probably have no business trading. Because the one thing that is constant with the markets, they don't care who you are, what your background is, how much money you have or don't have. They're in it. It's a zero-sum game. You're either winning or you're losing, right? So we have a couple other prop traders in the business. They're not with us today, but Ryan Bailey, longtime floor trader, and then Bubba, who has been trading since trading was invented. I think he started trading,
Stone
back in
Age.
the 1800s. Yeah. So he's been doing this a long time as well. All of our educators here, here's me. Zanetti talked about me. I've been in the education space over a decade now. I used to work for one of the largest banks in the world. I My career started in policy and compliance and risk. So I do also understand risk and how important it is to really not be stupid with your money. So why Target Trading Academy? Just so you guys know, we've trained thousands of people how to be profitable in the market. Now, whether or not people stay profitable is 100% on you, right? Because discipline is something that only you can exhibit on a day-to-day basis. So we have a lot of people since we've started doing this that really got into prop trading and started leveraging multiple accounts and really maximizing their returns with very little effort. So some of the awards that we've won, education awards, top prop firm 2025. I think there's another one on the horizon. Zanetti, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I heard you mention we have another one coming for 2020, for last year. Is this updated? Either way, we know what we're doing. We're recognized in the industry, and we have a lot of people that come to us in this industry through other people that get referred to us because people are just tired of churning accounts. So we got five-star reviews on Trustpilot, Google, Facebook, you name it, doesn't matter. But they're all going to say the same thing. If you want the best, Target Trading Academy, hands down. This is from a longtime client of ours that what was the last count? She had 15, 16 prop accounts, Pat?
She had 15 prop accounts. She's still working full time. She trades part time and averages anywhere from ten to $12,000 a month in profits.
Part-time.
Part time trading until 11 a.m.
Yeah, Eastern time.
Eastern
So for
time.
those of us in the Central time zone or Pacific time zone, she's done pretty early. Now, I think it's important to understand that we don't just talk to talk, but we have consistent results. And this is just over the last 4 years. And these wins, loss, break even, these are from our student trade reviews. I updated this with the numbers through today. So you can see we have 1,317 winners, 261 losses, and 136 break-even trades this year alone for just under 77% win rate. Last year we were just under 75%, 74% the year before that, 71% the year before that, 75%. So you can see consistently our students are typically winning about 3 out of every 4 trades on a regular basis. And if you want a prop trade, consistency is all that matters. Pat, is there anything you want to add to this?
What I wanted to say about the winners and losers, but first of all, I believe someone had said maybe it was freezing on their side. I just want to make sure it's not freezing for everybody, the projection. Um, so it just might be an isolated issue. But these winners are not 7 people taking the same trade and we're counting them as 7 winners. It doesn't matter if 14 people take the same trade, it's 1 win. If 7 people take the same loss, it's 1 loss. So these are unique individual trades using levels that I am publishing for you the day before.
Right. So we'll get into that in the method, but just so people understand, Patrick is going to use market profile to come up with where we're looking to go long or short. Today's levels are good for tomorrow. They're probably already published, right? So he's identifying them. So all you got to do is learn how to trade them. That's where, like I said, 90% of the work is done for you. You got to provide the other remaining 10%. So why do people want prop trading? Plain and simple, you get leverage with trading futures and prop trading. You can get multiple accounts, and it's really, in my opinion now, and Pat, I'm sure you'll agree, this is probably the best way to protect your other assets is to leverage other people's money to get what you want instead of taking your own savings or your own trading account and trading that on a regular basis.
For example, Joe, we have at least a half dozen students who are liquid net worth 7 to 8 figures. They use prop accounts because they refuse to use their own money until they learned exactly what to do first using somebody else's money, which is actually the goal. Because after a while, you're going to get sick and tired of prop companies pulling everything out of their butts, trying to disqualify you, telling you you can't get paid out, and you're not going to want to deal with them anymore. But it is absolutely the best way to start and to start making money as cheaply as possible.
Yep. So we'll go over a few things of how to start, like the startup capital that you do need. So even though you're going to go through a prop account, or even if you go through your own money or your own, you need some startup capital. We'll go over the trading method and how things look charting wise and the data. So we're going to cover pretty much everything. Now, we're not going to tell you, hey, this is going to cost you peanuts, right? You only need $1,000 or $500. You hear those ads on Facebook and you see them on YouTube where people say get started with $100. Those are complete BS in my opinion. If you only have $100, you can only afford $100 or $1,000, then you have no business trading, right? But the best part is you don't need $10,000 right now. And we figured out the best way to take, say, $3,000, get an education, get some prop trading account, and apply it consistently. So then that way you do have some, as we like to call, fluff or room for error. Now, the reason why we say $3,000 And nobody please take offense to this, because if you don't have $3,000, now would be your time to exit stage left, right? We're not going to take your last dime. We're not going to take it personally if you leave. At the end of the day, we don't want you to have to decide, should I pay for a program or should I be able to buy groceries, pay for my car payment or my rent? That's
Not
just
not
not
to
how we
mention,
operate.
I won't allow you to buy it if that's the situation you're in. We'll
Yeah.
do business down the road somewhere. I'm not going to do that to somebody.
Right. Just think of it, right now is not the right time if you're not able to comfortably spend $3,000 and be okay with it. Not to say you're going to spend $3,000, you know, at any moment in time, but if 3 grand is a lot to you, then please, this is your cue. Okay? Um, what we'll teach you though is how to get a prop account, say most cases a couple hundred, and pass an eval or add another account or another account, right? And how to take small $200-300 winners and multiply those by a factor of 4 or 5 or 10, right? But and don't get me wrong, and I'm sure, Pat, we would love to see everybody come on board and go with like a master key program or spend more and accelerate the hell through this. But we're more concerned about people taking the time to do this right than pumping a bunch of money into learning how to do something at this moment in time. These markets are crazy, right? But they're very tradable, and we're going to show you some examples that actually happened today and yesterday, um, to see how you can leverage multiple accounts. Pat, feel free to add anything as I go along. So, um,
Doing a great job, Jeff.
let's talk about why most people struggle and probably why most people are here, right? They either don't have a structure or you're chasing trades, right? You're, in some cases, revenge trading, trading too often, too much. And the last one, and I think probably one of the most important, is you just have nobody holding you accountable, right? You don't have a mentor. Trading could be a very lonely sport, and when you're looking at the charts by yourself, you can legitimately talk yourself into any trade. And who's going to hold you accountable? Well, in our program, Patrick will, because part of it and part of the method that we require everybody to do is take a screenshot of every trade that you take and send it in for feedback. And we'll talk about what that looks like. We're not going to get into great detail. The purpose of this today is to focus on how can you start the plan and really build, we'll call it wealth, right? So at the end of the day, that's what everybody's here for. They want to make money in the markets. Okay. So Patrick's method, we're going to call his modified market profile approach, is the method there on the left-hand side that the red arrow is pointing to. It's my left. We call him the angry trader. Anyone that was here at the beginning, what was the first thing that Pat said? He was angry. So right on par. We do have a couple other trading programs that do focus on prop trading. We're not going to get into those, but if you are interested in just say trading one market or trading options, right? You can go to the link on the bottom, and actually, I'm going to post it in the chat. You can schedule with me directly. Say if you want to learn how to day trade options, or just do a, um, S&P only, for instance. Okay. Pat, feel free. If there's anything that you want to add on to this.
Essentially, what we truly care about is what is best for you. That's why we offer three different platforms. Some people, it happens too fast for me. Some people, I can't sit here on my hands all day waiting for that trade if it comes. Other people, what's an option? Where you have other people who, I love options. And
Yeah.
what, I can be in and out of it in a day trade? I didn't even know that was possible. What?
Yep.
You're gonna send me the trades and all I've got to do is enter them? I don't, yep, that's it. So what we really care about is what is going to fit you the best and to teach you how to beat the prop shops using their own rules. That's what we specialize in. That's what
How
we do.
yeah, how many people in here are currently using a prop firm? just type a Y in the chat if you already have a prop account, or you were in the process of getting one, like pretty close to, this week or within the month. So it looks like a lot of people have prop accounts. Okay. Now, how many people in this webinar have gone through multiple prop accounts, got funded, made a little bit, lost your funding, and had to start over? I bet you it's just a bunch of Y's. Yep, and I can see it going. Oh, hey, Rhonda, nice to see you in here. So, so Rhonda, um, perfect example. How just type in the chat. How many prop accounts are you up to at this point? Just to could put it in perspective, she's been at this a long time. I think I found out about Apex through Rhonda and how they've changed a lot over the years, but Apex has kind of gone the same way as a lot of these other firms where um, they don't do reoccurring costs. If you'll notice, a lot of firms now are doing a month to month where you pay for an eval and there's no reoccurring. If you either pass or you don't within the first month, and then you got to get another one. So one of the things that we tell everybody is no matter who you get, whether it's Apex, Top Step, Legends, Lucid, there's a number of them out there. It is important to understand the rules for that prop firm. The method that Pat teaches will help you understand the risk for your trading, which will help you get to the level where you pass and actually can earn payouts. Because if you don't pass the eval, you'll never earn a payout, right? That's step one usually. So, um, well, I gotta click on. Let's talk about our prop trader accelerator program for a moment.
And
So
just so
we
you know,
Rhonda said 12
Joe,
now.
12 accounts currently.
12 accounts.
And the
Okay.
only reason is because she fired a couple of the prop companies that she didn't want to do business with anymore because she was supposed to get a payout and they tried to reject her.
Yeah. Well, I've heard so that's happened a lot. I've been doing this a while now. I've heard that far too often. I follow Discord groups of other prop firms, and that is probably the number one complaint. I know they're actively working on them, but again, this comes down to typically what happens is people don't have a system that shows a level of consistency. And then when it goes to get paid out, they give you a hard time. Now we know Rhonda doesn't usually have that. So when you have consistency and they refuse to pay you out, that's your cue that okay, maybe it's time to go to a different prop firm because there's something going on with the current one that maybe isn't on the up and up, let's just say. So
And we'll get to everybody's questions at the end of the presentation. It's not going to take very long, and we will sit here till we are blue in the face answering your questions.
yeah, so the trading system, the prop trader accelerator program, okay? So one of the things why it works for prop firms is because you could trade multiple markets. It's the same method, it's the same execution. The only variable in most of them is the risk associated with the particular market. So for instance, the S&P 500, your max risk 250 bucks, right? Nasdaq, 400 bucks. What you got gold, what else you look at? The Dow, British pound, right? Each one is going to have its own correlating risk that you will understand. But it also allows for you to have multiple trades throughout the day with clearly defined trading levels that, like Pat said, are given to you the night before. On top of all that, we have a trade assist software and some automations that we've developed for NinjaTrader. And the good news is most prop firms use NinjaTrader. So we became a one-stop shop for prop trading firm or people. And like the Legends, for instance, reached out to us when they started their prop trading that they wanted our students because of the level of discipline and things that they've learned along the way from Patrick. So what stops most people, and I'll harp on this until I'm blue in the face, is that people tend to get in their own way. They make their own mistakes over and over again because they stare at the markets all day long. We actually encourage you when you have a winning trade or two, you win two in a row, leave. Go do something else. Day trading isn't about sitting in front of the computer all day long and trading all day. It's about maximizing your time and being efficient. And if you can make $500 a day consistently, you'll have no problem getting paid out from most of these prop firms on a regular basis.
Joe, if I may,
You
I
may.
think what people don't seem to understand is these prop shops are like Las Vegas. They're not here to pay you out. They are here because they are counting on you failing. So why? You have no method, you have no patience, you have no discipline. So for example, let's say one of you takes a trade and you're up $300. You're required to take a screenshot and send it into me with the account number. Why? Because I don't believe statements. I've seen people fake statements for years. You need to send the screenshot in. And let's say it's Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson sends a screenshot in. I am going to pull it up in front of everybody to see. So you're accountable to everyone, including yourself now. Joe, you're up $300. You have a choice. You can risk it all, you can risk it half. If you lose or you break even, you're done for the day. Period. Why? Because if you don't have somebody governing you and holding you accountable to what you're going to do, you're going to find yourself hitting your downside maximum within two trades. Why is this? Because what's in the big shiny lights like in Las Vegas? Big lights, big eyes, $50,000 account. You can trade 10 minis with a 5 point maximum risk in the ES on a mini. If you take a full stop out loss, that's $1,250. You're halfway there. Why are you going to cut your odds down that much on one trade when you only have to make $300 or $250 a day to get funded?
Yep. And we're going to show you some of the examples with the P&L attached. Okay. So, and I think that kind of ties into what you're seeing here, right? Your goal is to make more money, but the only way you can make more money is if you learn how to keep the money you make. Right. So if you make a trade and you make $300 on your first one and you got four accounts, that's a $1,200 day. That's a pretty good day. Right. But let's say you only have a one account, you make $300. Well, that next trade, you risk 150 or 300 and you lose. What are you going to remember? Are you going to remember that you were up 300 or that you lost? Right. And then what is the mindset that comes after that? Nine times out of 10, and we see it all the time is I gotta get it back, right? Well, then that 150 that you have left turns into minus 400 or minus 1200, right? That revenge factor, revenge trading. That's what and I think Pat, what you excel at when you hold your students accountable is that they really start to think like it's their actual money that they're taking out of their pocket and learning how to keep what they make and walk away versus try to get greedy and make more. Because,
And yes, that you say that because I think this is what people don't seem to understand, and you hear this constantly in this business. Well, I'm playing with their money. No, you're not. It's your money. You made it. You have to treat it as yours. I was a professional fighter for 14 years. I play for blood. I never went into a fight to win by a decision. I went into a fight to just pound somebody's head into dust and never ever let a referee or a judge tell me what happened. I don't want the prop company telling me, hey, you can't make, oh, you can't do that. You have to take this seriously. If you don't train the way you're going to fight, you're never ever going to win a fight. And this is going to be a fight every single day because someone is trying to take money from you every single day. Futures is a zero sum game. This is the way it's played. You play it for blood.
exactly. Now, this is why you also with prop firms, you learn how to expand. So when you pass an eval, start working on the next one, right? You start getting a third one, a fourth one. So then that way, when you do a $200 trade and you copy trade that over to two, three, four, 10 accounts, right? That's your multiplier. So this way, and I'll show you an example. It was Tiffany earlier today. A couple of trades, and what she have like a $1,200 day. She made 400
$1,200
bucks.
day on four trades. Rhonda does this consistently. It's taking one trade in 4 or 5 different accounts, getting up to your minimum that you have to make, switching over to another set of accounts, waiting for another trade if it comes, and just rinse and repeat. You have to look at this as if it is a business. This
Yep.
is not gambling. This is not fun. This is not a hobby. You have to ask yourself, are you going to treat this like a hobby or a profession? Because the difference is you keep paying into a hobby to derive pleasure from it. A profession pays you. That's the difference. And if you keep losing, you're not going to have fun at the hobby for very long.
100%. So, somebody did ask in the questions about Forex. We do not trade. This has nothing to do with Forex. This is all futures. Okay. So, and we kind of touched on the multiple accounts, but we're big fans of the $50,000 accounts. Even though you can get $150,000, $250,000 account at prop firms, we don't like those because you actually get a bigger bang for your buck with the $50,000 account, and if you multiply it. So if your profit target's 3 grand on 50,000, right? And your loss is 2,000, you get three $50,000 account, your loss is now 6,000, right? So that actually makes more sense to get the $50,000 accounts. It's actually easier to pass. That's like the sweet spot for prop firms. And I know, everybody that's in here has probably tried a $25,000 account, a 50,000, a 75,000, 100,000, 150. They have a static account, right? There's a number of different options. Start with the 50. It just makes the most sense. 200 bucks a day is 4 grand in the course of a month. If you just average two, but we all know you hit that profit target. As soon as you hit it, do not trade anymore. You're going to get that email that says you passed your eval, right? Congratulations. But if you just average $200 a day on a $50,000 trading account, you are going to pass your eval as long as you don't hit that $2,000 drawdown, right? Now, this is very doable on one trade with the methodology that Patrick teaches, given that you have the discipline to sit in a trade. How many people in this webinar get in a trade and they get antsy? They get that trigger finger like they're ready to bail and they take like a $75 winner or $100 winner or 62.50, right? And you're like, "Oh, if I could do that 3 more times, I'll be just fine." And all you're doing is you're playing the odds. You might as well go to Vegas, like Pat said, and play roulette or craps. We are disciplined in our approach because when you get the right setup and we get the trade that comes in and these levels, Rhonda, I hate to keep calling on you, but you've been with Patrick probably the longest of the names I see in here. And I'm not even sure why you're here. I'm glad you are. I appreciate you coming. If you had Patrick's levels, or how would like yesterday, for instance, and I'll show you a trade from actually was this what was yesterday? Yesterday was Monday. So the trades that were taken yesterday were the levels that were drawn on Sunday, right?
I drew those actually Saturday afternoon in my HVA drawing mentor program class.
And those are from the volume of trades that have come in from the beginning of the contract up until the close of business on Friday, right? The pit session.
Yep.
So market profile, if for those of you that don't know what it basically is taking all the trades that come in incremental time frames, and it'll show you like a bell chart. It'll show you exactly where the volume is. Patrick has become a master at identifying where these resistance and support levels will form using market profile, and Rhonda can attest to this, and anyone else who uses them on a day-to-day basis. They're like we're convinced Patrick's looking through some sort of crystal ball to see where the market's going to reject and show support. They're unbelievable. So if you just trade one or two of those a day, you'll be just fine. Now, you want to make more, get more accounts. Plain and simple. It's that simple. Pat, go ahead and you can. If there's anything else you want to add, because I touched a lot of this on as we were talking. So I'm going to get to the
I,
examples just
right,
for
and I'll
time's
explain
sake.
the examples very very quickly. When Joe puts them up, what I want everybody to understand is, and this is something that you have to take very seriously. You have to leave your ego at the door. I have several traders who refuse to cut a trade short, and their prop companies busted them out because they exceeded their consistency rule.
Yep.
Then they can't understand why. Then I've got to get on the phone with them and explain to them, you see what you signed here, right? You agreed to this. You have to play by their rules if you want to use their money. That's the way that this works. Guys, get funded first. Then
Yep.
we can help you with the business plan after. Let's focus on one thing at a time. If you look at this thing in its entirety, it's daunting. It's freaking frustrating. And it's a lot to absorb. Let's just do one thing at a time. Let's make it. Let's keep it. Let's quit for the day. Let's come back tomorrow. That's it.
Yep. And that's part of your daily trade plan is so you get the levels, we chart them, right? We have a software that'll do it for you if you opt to get the software, or you draw them yourself. You go to the live classroom that is open during market hours, Monday through Friday. We also do night classes. We do weekend classes. Everything's 100% live. Oh, and by the way, we do have some recorded content in the campus library. We try to make ourselves available to you every step of the way. Now, early on, you're going to go to the live classes, you're going to go to the trainings, you're going to go as often as you can. What we found is that when people start getting consistent, they may only sign into the room when they send in a trade. They're already making money, but they want to get the feedback because it's always good to have somebody checking up on your trades and giving you that feedback because otherwise, I sit in an office all day by myself. I take a trade, I do whatever, day goes by. Nobody's looking at that trade unless I send it into somebody. Patrick has people sending him trades all day long, and the benefit of being in that room is maybe you didn't send in a trade today, but you're going to hear some valuable feedback on somebody else's trade.
All freaking night long.
Yeah, that's
These
true.
these
Because we do
lunatic
have people that trade
degenerates are
overnight.
sending trades in all night.
So when you're sitting down to trade, okay, you get the levels. Your job at that point, when the market trades to said level, is to qualify or go through a series of steps to potentially disqualify that trade. And if there's any one of our rules that's not met, you don't take the trade. You move on to the next setup. But you're looking at multiple markets at once. And it may move fast early on. Somebody, if you trade the Nasdaq versus the S&P versus the Dow, they all move at different speeds. But when you know what you're looking for, things start to slow down. And when you're not prepared is when things seem to be overly fast on a regular basis. When you are prepared, things slow down, right? And every single successful trader will tell you that when they sit down to trade, they they map out or they have their trade plan. They keep track of their trades. So when you take a trade and you send it in, when you demonstrate that you're good at the reversals or you're consistent, then you will get promoted to money management. Because when you know what to trade and how to trade it, reversal, long, short, doesn't matter, gap fills, right? The next step is okay, how do I, now that I know what I'm doing to get into the trade, how do I keep or scale up or avoid big losses? So it's a very step-by-step process that we put you through because at the end of the day, when you're a confident trader and you have the training and you're prepared, you'll make better decisions and you'll be more profitable. Just plain and simple. Now, does it mean everybody's going to make money? Some people, everyone's journey is different. Some people get it in 3 months. Some people take 3 years, right? Everybody's different. But the one thing that really comes down to whether or not you're successful is how much time do you put into making yourself better. So we're gonna go through. So 511 was a couple of days. I started putting this together a couple of days ago. So we had 9 wins and 5 losses. Those were our students' trades. Okay. You could trade part-time, yes. Okay. You could trade 1 day or 2 days a week, doesn't matter. When you sit down and trade, and just so you know, these levels that this example is a little it's a little small. This is a Dow one, so it was kind of truncated. But this is an example from a couple days ago that this was a $360 trade. Now, Pat, I'm gonna draw on the screen while you explain what's going on. I'm gonna use a
Sure.
bright color.
So
So,
first of all, there's a magenta line in the middle of the screen that's vertical. That was the open of the market. The market opened. It sold off. It went down to the bottom of a high volume area edge that I had drawn the day before. This is Scott. Scott took a reversal long. He made $360 in his prop account. Guess who Scott is? Scott is the guy who refused to cut his winners down. He'd make $1,800 and couldn't understand why they were disqualifying him. As soon as he sent this trade in, I asked him, what is your minimum daily win to be funded over 5 days? 350. Oh, you got, or 300. You got 360. You're getting out of here now. Leave. Kick him out. If I've got to protect you from yourself, I'm going to do that. That's how you beat them at their own game.
now, just so people understand what they're looking at, there's a yellow shaded area right here, and then there's another one up here. Okay. These levels, these are the what we call HVAs, high volume areas. Okay. Those levels are what Pat identifies the night before. So when the market trades down to a level or up to a level, we're looking for specific support or rejection at said level. And then there's a series of steps that you go through in order to take that trade. Okay, just so people are on the same page.
And I'm literally talking you through those steps as they're happening.
Yep. So here's another example. Now, this was a micro gold trade. Micros. Okay. This was, uh, Pat, do you remember who sent this in?
This was yesterday. This was Bill T. This was at 8:20 in the morning. The market opened gap down. He is a essentially 95% gap trading person, period. He is looking for the gap opens in every market. If he does not get a gap, he doesn't take one. This is a 3 contract trade. Bill let that thing run all the way until he got stopped out. $334 in one trade on micros with 3 contracts. That is absolutely unheard of.
What was
This
that?
is how we maximize things.
That 3,300 mini trade, right?
If you traded 3 contracts on the mini, that would be $3,340.
So I saw in the chat somebody said they like to trade micros. Now, why would it be a good idea to trade micros if you're prop trading, Pat?
First off, in the overwhelming majority of markets, they are much more liquid than the minis. So you're going to get better fills, especially if you're trading the NASDAQ. Use the micro NASDAQ because you will get filled and most likely get to break even or get a position off before the NASDAQ even gets to break even. It's just the way it is. You'll get a much, much better fill. Even though your increment bar might be larger, you'll get a better fill. Okay. We'll go into the gaps in a few minutes, Margie. Okay. I'll
Yep.
explain to you what they are.
And I'll go, here's another example, which
And also, Joe, speaking about micros, and this is, I want to go
Mhm.
back to what I was saying before. When you see those big flashy lights in the $50,000 account and you can trade 10 minis, why would you ever trade that many when you can trade a fraction of the amount, limit your losses to $100 to $150 a trade, have a much, much better chance of achieving your profit goal for the day without coming anywhere near your drawdown, which every trade you take, which will be about a 20th if you get stopped out with your maximum risk. You've got to beat them at their own game. This is a different trade. Now, this is a gap up. So, Margie, what that means is you have yesterday's high here, yesterday's low here. Tomorrow morning, if you open up above the high, that's a gap up. If you open down below the low, that's a gap down. You are looking to fill back to the previous day's range because futures is a zero-sum game. And everybody who took money being profitable, being long and a gap up, as many people got to drive that thing down to get back to zero so they don't puke their guts up and lose every penny they have, and vice versa. So it's a fear and greed game. Now, this is Randall. Randall took this trade in micro oil, 5 contracts, $841 profit, live real money in a prop account. Some people will say, well, why don't you take it in the minis? First of all, there's 3 times as much participation in the micros. You're going to get better fills. You're not going to get slipped. Why not take it in the minis? Because most people can't take $300 worth of risk for 5 contracts on a $1,500 trade. And I can guarantee you one thing, unless you're trained to do it and you sit there and hold that thing until its eventual conclusion, you will puke your guts up watching those green numbers go up, and you'll look for every reason possible to cancel that trade and get out of it because you're afraid to win. That's why. This is why you got to be trained.
So why don't we just so everybody knows what you're looking at here. So I wrote on the screen HVA. So right here, this is probably a little bit easier to see. Here's HVA number one. Actually, this would be number one right here. Number two, number three, number four, five, six. So these high volume areas, Patrick came up with the night before or the day before, depending on if it was a weekend. Highlights them on this screen. This is based on the participation at these levels. We know that it drops off above and below those levels. So the primary trade that everybody starts with or learns is called a reversal, right? This is probably by far the most common trade, right, Pat? The
The
reversal
absolute
happens the
most
most.
common trade, because the market runs sideways roughly 80 to 85% of the time. And I want everybody to understand something, Joe, where you're right, that circle that one right there. That was a reversal long in the overnight pre-market session about 45 minutes before the market opened. That is a green bar. Our software identified that as a valid reversal to go long. That thing took off like a rocket. Look where it ended up before the market even opened, with levels that I called out the day before. Then when you see Randall, you can see at the bottom of the page, those are green bars that popped up. He got his buy order filled when he was trailing. That thing took off straight up right after that. Hit the level, went straight up. There are going to be all kinds of opportunities. Somebody was asking before, am I going to be able to take 4 to 5 a week? Let's say if you're going to take it in the morning before you go to work, you might get 5 a day. You might get none that day. It's entirely up to what the market does. You may get a half a dozen. And as long as you keep winning the rules of our game, you can keep going. But if you're prop trading, if you've hit your maximum number or your minimum number, you got to stay there, guys, because that 30% consistency rule, 50% consistency rule will be the bane of your existence if you don't control the winners.
And I think this is a good example for people to see, like, if you work a full-time job and you want to trade pre-market, most prop trading companies let you trade pre-market or even after hours. You just can't hold through the open or through the close, right?
We have
So,
several people that do that.
so when this thing came down to this edge and it went one, two, 3 bars in a row that are touching the bottom edge of this high volume area right here, this is what we're calculating our risk off of for a reversal long. The fill would have been right here if they took this right on that black bar following the green bar with a stop just below this yellow dotted line that he has. He's got a swing high and low running on his charts based on the risk between the entry and the swing bar, the swing low on that. That's your total risk, right? So look at how far up this thing ran before the open. And it wasn't like it went up a little bit. Yeah, there was a small bar, but this thing ripped up. And even if you're sitting in this thing for 15 minutes and it's running up and you got to go to work, Okay, you're up. This is a monster trade, right? You're up big. So what if you close it here, or you close it here, or you close it here? Doesn't matter. Your entry was here. Your risk was here. You had at least 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 5 to 1 in this one trade before the market even opened. Things like this happen all the time. You can go back and you can see the first time it made a low here, came down, bounced up, came down again. Second time, ripped straight down, right? When the market is selling off or when the market is rallying, we look for those pullbacks, find support at these edges or resistance, qualify that trade, take it, wham bam, thank you, ma'am, and done. Now, if you are lucky enough to take both of them, right? And Randall, I'm surprised he didn't take this one, to be
Very
honest with you.
surprised.
Huh?
Very surprised because he's usually looking to get on the golf course as quickly as possible.
Yeah. He could have had a monster winner right before and right after the Open, going in opposite directions. This is why we love trading futures. And this particular platform that you're looking at is Ninja Trader. Most prop firms, or if you're trading yourself, a lot of people nowadays go through Ninja Trader because the margins are so low for prop, not just for prop trading, but if you wanted to trade your own money. So these are just some of the examples that our students go through. And here's one from today. And I know this is one that you wanted to talk about because this was Tiffany's trade. So you
Now,
can see a number of different colors on the chart. But inside this yellow box right here, I set this one up in advance. This was a $400 trade on the ES, and 50 cents. I don't want to shortchange her. But this was only on one of her prop accounts. How many does she have? Three?
she traded, she was 4 for 4 today. The other three trades were micros, and she was up probably about 100 something dollars on those micros. She took this monster. She's up $400.50 times three accounts, which is 1,200 at a 90% payout when she gets paid. She is ridiculously consistent because she does exactly the same freaking thing every single day. And if she doesn't get a trade, she leaves and she does not care.
And she's using two softwares that we offer. So one of them plots these high volume areas. We call it Presto. And the other one is the Executioner. So the Executioner is kind of it's an indicator and trade assist software all wrapped up into one package. Now, it highlighted her risk, her swing bar, this dark blue color right here. And you'll see the stamp right below it. Executioner long. She got in at 73.72 and a quarter. Her risk, you can see, was entry was right where I'm coloring this white bar. Her exit was right here. She didn't hold it all the way till the top, but what she did is she trailed it and she had her stop loss right there. Or right below this. I think she actually closed this one early, didn't she? Because she hit that $400 mark, and she is very cognizant of her consistency rule. I will say that she's probably the most prepared person I've ever met. But this is a perfect example. If say your average trade is $200, and now you rip off a trade that's say $400, right? You're doubling your trade. If you do that, it's actually to your detriment, right? Because now you've just moved the goalpost. So you have to be cognizant of the trailing stop. And when you're letting in the Pat, I think you mentioned this earlier, um, close the trade. It's okay. You're gonna have another opportunity most times. But if your average day is $200 and you rip off a $400 trade, shut it down for the day. Don't keep trading.
Right. And that trade was at 11:30, about 11:35 a.m. Somebody was asking. I have another client who has 20 separate accounts, 10 on each, because he found that the trade copier would fail right around 10 accounts attached to his master account. He would take trades on one trade connected to 9 other accounts, and he'd be up $320, and he'd stop. He would flatten the trade. Why? because he's up $320 on 10 different accounts. He's staying within his consistency rule, and there's absolutely no way he can be denied being paid out. That's why.
Yep. So somebody asked what percentage of the wins does the trader get to keep? So this is where every prop trading firm's a little bit different, but for most, you're going to get between 80 and 90%.
Now, I want everybody to understand something too. I know everybody wants 100% of what you make. Of course you do. Who doesn't, right? Well, they're providing you with a system that you're not having to lock up 25 to $50,000 at a futures brokerage that is essentially dead money. They are taking an awful lot of the risk theoretically. Okay, so they're providing you with a service. Now, what I want everybody to understand is the overwhelming majority of people who are trading prop accounts are in a sim environment, even though you're being promised that you're going to get paid out in real money. And how do I know this? Because the volume is very thin. So if you had thousands and thousands and thousands of prop traders trading live real money, the volume would be up huge. Why are they doing this? Because they're going to take a chance on you blowing up and losing and having to pay them again to revow instead of them having to take a chance to pay you out and maybe you blow up. Why are they going to do that? They are not going to take the chance that you have to get paid out before you blow up. Okay, so understand something. They are providing a phenomenal service. You just have to beat them at their own rules because it's stopping you from having to put up $25,000, $50,000 that you don't want to put in some account that's locked up that you can't use.
Yep. And if you're consistent enough with prop trading and you get tired of giving up that extra 10%, take the money you make from prop trading, put it in your own trading account, and then you can keep 100%. But if somebody's going to put up most of the risk and only charge you 10% for it, why not?
Yeah, guys,
Use
and
other
don't get
people's
me
money.
wrong. The
Yeah.
idea here is use the prop company to build your bank and make your mistakes.
Right.
Because sooner or later, when you get this method down and you're sick and tired of somebody telling you how much you can make, you will end up trading your own money. And then I will teach you an entirely different way to do it.
Yep. So I see the questions coming in. So one of them here, don't the bulk of these prop firms just find ways to deny you if somebody makes too much? Sounds like a so that's kind of
But it
something that we
is
touched
because it's
on
their
earlier.
rules.
So they build the rules to make it to where essentially they want somebody to be consistent on a fairly regular basis because what happens with some of these prop firms, and I know the Legends is good with this, if you're consistent, they'll give you real money to trade, and it'll be a lot cheaper to find traders that are actually good and consistent this way than if they were to hire somebody, train them, and then give them real money to trade, right? Because now you're paying them for the training or for the chance to trade their money. And they're banking on the fact, like Pat said, that you're gonna blow up your account. But what I've seen is a shift to, and I think Apex does this now, where they only allow you to get so many payouts, and then you got to start over again, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? Because what happens is they're willing to pay people out in sim funded in the hopes that they find somebody good enough to actually be funded, right? And we've had a few of our clients be actual funded traders that when you're a funded trader, they take the training wheels off and you get a little bit more liberties.
Yeah.
So I see you
Joe, if you
chomping
don't
at
mind
the bit
me,
there, Zanetti. You're
yeah,
doing
if you don't
the
mind me jumping in
Italian
there,
hand
hold on a
speak.
second. I want to jump in on this because we do a lot with so understand the difference between being a prop trader, being a funded trader, and trading on your own. There's a significant difference between the two, or between the three. When you are sim trading, and there are sim funded accounts where you can get paid and you're still trading a video game, okay? There's a number of benefits to that we don't think about until you've traded live before. I'll give you a great example. You don't have to worry as much about volume or slippage. Most of the companies, you can just trade it and it'll paper trade fine. Okay. As soon as you start trading live real money, it's not just about having a well executed trade, it's about getting the trade filled. Okay. And there's a science to this. This is a whole nother part of the equation for being a successful trader. And when you start trading on scale, and I don't mean scale by hundreds of millions of dollars, I'm talking about when you start trading on scale of hundreds of thousands of dollars, your fills can make or break you. The trade might be perfectly executed, but where you get filled at can actually break your trade. So the reason I bring that up is there's a significant difference when you are taking an evaluation and it's completely on sim. Then, if and when you get to a sim funded account and it's still a video game, guys, you're getting paid to play a video game. A lot of firms will do one of two things after a series of payouts. They'll either force you to start over, or which is fine, by the way, you just go through the eval again. Or more common than not, they'll move you to a full funded account where now you have to deal with issues like slippage and things like that. And by the way, when they do that, let's say you had five accounts with five $50,000 accounts, you have $250,000. You don't get $250,000 to trade with live. They start you back at 50,000 or 100,000 and they build you up from there. Now, if that is something that you're interested in, okay, just to be clear, we're very experienced at this. Okay, I hate to say the prop trading experts. It's a very unique field. It's the Wild West in a lot of ways, but we have a tremendous number of relationships, and we know the firms that if you want to be a professional trader and trade other people's money for a living, that we can bring you to have you do that. Okay, we have those relationships. Just understand that if you're going to trade a little bit here and a little bit there, that's not for you. That's more for the person that's going to say, this is my full-time job. I'm going to do this from 6 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock each day. I'm going to trade throughout the day. I've got multiple methods. I can manage, $1 million or more of trading accounts. That's on the horizon, right? And not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody wants to be responsible for it. So it's just very important to understand the different stages. I can tell you, me personally, I get to a point where if they try to fund me um, with live real money, I actually shut the account down and I open up another one somewhere else. The other thing I was
You
going
get
to
the
tell you,
pucker
Joe,
factor.
yeah, it's not that.
Well,
It's I'd
it,
rather play
it's
video games for money. It's more
right.
fun,
It's
right?
all in your makeup. And Mike
Yeah.
and Joe can tell you for a fact. I don't care what the size is. I have no problem taking a trade. Doesn't affect
And
me.
right. Some people can do that and some people can't. Me, I work for a living, right? I'm the director of operations for all these companies. So I don't have time to sit and trade all day. Can I trade? I can, but I don't have time to sit and do that. So I run the companies, but I do trade on the side and I like to pop in and take my trades. And if I'm really busy today, I don't get to.
It's
A
also a
lot of more
personal
people are like
preference too,
me.
right?
I'm sorry?
It's also a personal preference for some people that, like they want a little bit extra, but don't want to take it too deep, right? Like you like running companies. That's like ever since I've known you, you've dabbled in a number of different companies,
Still
but you
do.
also like trading. But you don't like
Yep.
one more than the other to just shut down one to do the other, right?
I
And
like
that's how
income streams.
most people operate.
Yeah. I
And
like
if
income
you
streams.
are,
That's the biggest thing for me. Trading is just another income stream for me. Prop trading is
yeah,
just another income stream for me. I want to point something out, by the way, Scott, you made a statement here. You said, don't the bulk of these firms just find ways to deny you if someone makes too much? Sounds like a Ponzi scheme to me. You are 100% right, Scott.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You're 100% right. And that's why we work. One of the things that we do is we try every prop firm that we can find. We're constantly signing up for new firms, testing firms out, making sure they pay out, seeing how they handle things. I can tell you right now, we have a prop firm matrix, okay, of firms that we approve, firms that we don't, and for different styles and sizes and et cetera. There's also, you have to understand, there's nuances to different firms. For example, there are firms that there's no evals for. Okay, there's certain
straight to
account types.
funding.
It's called
Yep.
straight to funded, where you pay a larger fee up front, but you go right to a funded account. Um, you wouldn't want to do that if you're just learning how to trade, right? If you're just learning how to trade, use the prop firm to be the rails. It's like bowling, right? When you teach kids to bowl, you don't teach them to bowl without the guardrails up, right? They're going to throw everything in the gutter. So what do? They put those things in the gutters that block them, and they let the kids bowl on that, and then they slowly take them off. Well, that's what prop trading can do for you. It can teach you how to trade correctly because the rules aren't necessarily bad rules. Okay. Not until you're an experienced enough trader to see the flaws in the rules. For example, consistency and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out. Go ahead,
So
Joe. I'm sorry.
somebody wanted an explanation on the consistency rule. So a lot
Mhm.
of firms will have like a 30%, or I've seen actually some of them shift to a 50% consistency rule.
There's both. Yes.
Yeah. So essentially what it means is that your biggest, whatever your biggest trade is, or your average, your biggest trade can't be 30% or 50% higher than your average. It's
Yep. 50% more than your balance. So if
whatever you're at. So like
your target is,
what
yeah,
what they discourage you from doing is say you average $300 and you rip off a $1,500 trade because you're like, this is great. When the market falls, it usually falls so fast you can make $1,500, right? When it goes up, it's a slow grind. You get bored, you close it out. You know, almost never have to worry about it when it's grinding up. But what they don't want is people like the perception of they're just waiting for the home run,
home run trade.
which is what you brought up, in my opinion, is the biggest bullshit rule. Because if the market's falling and I'm making money, the last thing I want to do is close it out. I just want to trail my
Well,
stop and let it stop me out when the market organically comes back. But the prop firms would much rather you close it so you don't,
right.
because otherwise you're moving your own goalpost. And we know that in trading, anyone who's done this longer than a week, it knows you're not going to rip off $1,000 trades every
Every
trade
day.
or every other
Yep.
trade.
Well, and so Joe, there's two things with that. First is the actual consistency rule itself. The way they define it is whatever that percentage is,
Hmm.
and you have your profit target. That's a percentage of your profit target. So if your profit target is $2,500 in that account, okay, and you're operating at a 30% consistency rule, okay, no individual trade can be more than, okay, quick math,
750.
$750.
Yep.
No individual trade can be more than $750. That's the rule. Okay. That's what the consistency rule means. It's a percentage of your profit target. Now,
Yeah. So
something really important to understand, prop firms let you use their money to trade. Okay. One of the things with their money is they want to make sure that you don't take unnecessary risks. When you look for those home run hits, they're considered unnecessary risks. One of the benefits to trading your own money is you can be as risky as you want with it. Okay. So if you get in one of those trades and you're just trailing and just trailing and just trailing, I was just talking about to Ryan about this earlier. He's taken these monster trades lately in the ES because it's been moving so much. You can't do that in your prop account. You can't do it. Okay.
yep.
So it's a benefit. It's a benefit to be able to use other people's money. It's a flaw that you can't take monster rips. It's designed to make you grind.
It's the give and take thing. They're letting you use the money. But remember what we were talking about. The overwhelming majority of people are on a simulated environment. They don't want you letting something run because that means they have to pay you
If it works.
if it
Right.
Yeah.
works.
Right.
Guys, here's the dirty little secret again in prop companies. They want you busting out. We
Right.
teach you not to bust out.
Right. There's
Yep.
another rule. There's another rule. Like you'll see certain things happen. Just recently, there was so much movement in the metals that a lot of the prop firms would restrict
They
metal
shut it down.
trading.
They
Yeah.
shut
Yeah, they
gold and
should.
silver off for months.
Yeah, because there was so much volatility, and honestly, you could play either direction and be completely fine because it was moving in that direction that day. So,
Yep.
but again, these nuances that we're talking about, this is the difference between someone picking something up on YouTube and getting some free information versus dealing with people that, number one, professional traders, number two, they use prop day in and day out, all day, every day, and are familiar with it. And number three, literally take the time to go out and do the research and figure out what firms work and what firms don't, and develop strategies to take that trading system and make it work in the optimum way inside of those prop firms. When people say,
Yep.
what am I paying for? What am I buying? When I come to Target, that's what you're getting. You're getting
Mike,
that we've done both of those two things.
if I may also, one of the people that we had spoken about earlier, she has written business plans. She's a freaking MBA who's written business plans specifically for us for prop trading.
Mhm.
You
This
get
is her
that?
trade. This is her
Yeah,
trade.
yeah.
Okay.
That's actually her trade in front of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
She got so furious with them changing rules that she literally wrote business plans on how to beat that.
Yep.
I'm not
Yep.
joking. And we've
No.
got
And the one thing too, and I'm sorry, I just wanted to add one final thought here. Again, trading is an amazing skill. Okay. Learning to trade and having that skill. I liken this back to when I was a teenager, my parents were worried that, I was one of the first people in my family to go to college. They were worried about, what do you do if the college thing doesn't work out? So they wanted me to be a contractor. So they had me working with carpentry and things like that. Great skill, because guess what? If I ever needed a little bit of dough, I could always do a side gig with carpentry, right? But here's the thing. Trading is the modern version of that times a million, right? Because once you learn how to trade, it's a skill you have for the rest of your life. You can do it whether it's prop, whether it's funded, whether it's your own money. You can do it from your computer on a yacht. You can do it from Paris. You can do it from your RV. Okay. This is a conceptually, this is a skill set that once you learn it, it's not just about prop trading. It's a skill you have for the rest of your life. And I think that to me is the inherent value. Yes. So Margie asked a question, by the way. I don't know if
it's
you
a
guys can.
610 tick. We use ticks, we don't use minutes.
Yep.
We
So,
want to take advantage of the smaller risk that tick bars give us versus minutes.
and each chart might have a different tick setting, whether it's micros or minis. So how fast,
And how liquid the
how
markets are.
liquid.
For
Yep.
example, the ES mini would have a 610 tick chart, and the micro NASDAQ would have a 987 or a 1597 because it's trading twice the amount of volume.
So, and ticks are just the actual trades coming in. So we don't care if it comes in a minute or in 1,500 trades. What does it matter if it was a
She
minute or
was
four
in
minutes?
that
Yeah.
trade for less than 4 minutes.
Yeah. Pretty good use of 4 minutes of her time. Somebody asked a question I saw on Legends. They have a apprentice and live account. So apprentice is your training, right? So the equivalent would be going through an eval with Apex, right? And then they call theirs once you pass the eval a performance account or PA account. So
Yep.
they're all the same thing. They just name them something different.
Yep.
Think of it like your practice.
And just so
Yep.
you know, Margie, she came to us 2 years ago. Her husband was a client of ours for years. She had never traded once in her life before coming to us.
Saw her husband do it.
And then after
Yep.
a year, she was already live. And I'm going to tell
Yep.
you something. You've seen Rhonda in here also. Rhonda worked for the school system, still does because she's so valuable. They won't freaking let her go. She trades part time.
She's
Okay.
retired 3 times.
She's retired 3 times, but they keep bringing her back.
The
My
Godfather.
women are the best traders that we have, hands down.
Yep. So, all right, well, we're gonna get into brass tacks because before I do that, any other questions on the trades, the setup, or what you see on the chart?
That's
End of
entirely
day.
up to you, Omar.
Are you asking what's the difference or what do we prefer? So end of day versus intraday. That has to do with the trailing stop.
Yeah.
I
And
prefer end of day.
you have to close your trades by the end of the day. There's very few firms that
Well,
allow
and
you to
if you
hold.
have say you have a $2,000 trailing stop, end of day trailing stop, you can't let your account close and be, if you're down $2,000, like you blew your account. Intraday, if it touches 2,000 down at any point or whatever, like, and that's an accumulation of all your losses up until that point, right? So versus your wins, but you can't let it touch it at any point during the day.
Right.
So it's just they're little nuances. These are some of the rules that they add or they change that um, really piss people off because it used to be all intraday and then it's like, oh, now we got end of day.
But the truth of the matter is, if you're following our rules, you're not going to get
You don't
anywhere
have to
near
worry
that
about it
number.
anyway.
Right.
Yeah. Scott, to answer your question, does the education teach us how to read the volume profile? Absolutely. We are a zero to expert level training. We actually prefer working with people who have little to no experience trading because they don't have bad habits. So it's the ability to teach somebody something, the good habits and the good systems from the very beginning.
Well, so let me that takes me into the next slide, and I'm gonna go over so the two main programs, there's really three, but the two main ones that people start with are the Future Starter program or the Prop Trade Accelerator program. And there's fundamental differences between the two. So you get the same access in terms of the campus library, and we'll give you the HVAs, the live class, the weekend classes, the night classes. You get access to the same for both. The difference is in the prop trader accelerator, you're going to get the automated HVA, so you don't have to draw them in yourself. You're going to get access to the execution or trade assist software, so that way it's a click of a button to execute. We do weekly trainings on the prop itself, prop firms, the trade reviews, all that come with it. Okay. If you want to learn how to draw your own HVAs, then we're talking Master Key. I did not include Master Key in this particular presentation because I think for most people coming in brand new, it becomes overwhelming. And
Mhm.
so for people who say, well, it's you start in low and then you always want more, right? We're not OTA, we're not these other programs where, it's $20,000, right? At the end of the day, you can get started in the futures trading the starter program for only $2,000 this week only. Okay?
Yep.
For the entire year. If you
That's for the
want the
year.
prop trader accelerator, there's two options that we have available. You can buy the full year up front for only $5,000 right now, which normally finance is 3,500 down and 350 a month, which is a little over $7,300 a year. So you're
Bill, did you
saving
get these
20.
approved by senior management?
I
Because
did. I did.
okay, I'm just making
So
sure.
I always found it's easier to ask for forgiveness than
Forgiveness, yeah, because
approval.
these,
So
jeez, man.
so
So
you're
just so
seeing
you
this.
guys
I
understand
wasn't
why
expecting you on this call. Let's be
just so you
so
guys understand why I'm saying that, okay? And I'm sorry, Joe, I'm just gonna jump in here. If you're
yep.
looking to kick the tires, you want to get started, the Future Starter program will get you there, okay? This is a great way to learn the basics. It's less than 200 bucks a month, guys. Okay? It's less than 200 bucks a month for the year. It's a fantastic program to get started and see if you like it. The only reason that I think the prop trade accelerator is better for people, if you're a little bit more experienced, you don't really need the basics. One of the advantages of the prop trade accelerator is it saves you a ton of time. Okay, so when you're first learning this business, you want to draw the HVAs in, you want to learn how to do those things. So it really is a good way to start. But once you learn those things, you just get them automated in. It saves you 30 minutes a day, 40 minutes a day. Okay. Second thing is you get the software. Cannot stress to you enough the importance of the software. This is elite level software, guys. This is full trade execution where you see the trade setup, you turn it on, you've already set all the parameters of the software up to the way you want to trade, which is, by the way, your prop trading rules.
Yep.
Okay, so you set the rules of your prop trading to the software, turn it on, and it trades for you.
And
And it
it's going to
executes.
save you a ton of time because
Yeah.
let's say you're looking at four markets and there's seven HVAs on one market, six on another, four on another. You got to go and plot all those on your Ninja Trader.
Oh man.
Now,
Yes.
anyone that is on this call What you need to do is figure out how much do you make per hour and how much is your time worth to you, and then do a little risk analysis, cost base, and
Yeah,
decide
yeah.
if it's worth it. And you will quickly realize that it is worth it. But for those of you who are interested in the full program with the master key and stuff like that. So I'm just going to tell everybody right now the prop trader accelerator. If you want to finance it, there's a $500 off coupon code. So it's not going to be 3,500 down. It'll be 3,000 down and 350 a month. But I will say this, if you are looking to finance it and put $3,000 down, ask yourself if you can afford the additional 2,000 and just pay for it up front and save yourself $2,300 a year. Okay?
Yep. That
Because
is for the year, by the way. All of these are for the year.
what happens is now you don't have the monthly payment, but then you look at it, okay, I'm going to get everything I need to be set up for success. You're going to have access to not just us in the room, but other people going through this program that are prop trading as well that share their knowledge. One thing that is great about our students is that they really do enjoy helping other people. We do live events. So for instance, we're going to be at a wealth expo in June in less than a month. And we're going to have students there. And what happens is when our students tend to meet up with each other, they form these little cohorts and they hold each other accountable. And they meet on a regular basis. They become friends, right? So, Zanetti, you famously said this at one of our events in Sedona. We want people to think of us like their own little cult, right? It's
And we have a cult. We
yeah.
have a cult.
And
If
to
you
be
go and look at our
completely
students, I mean,
honest,
we've got,
Joe, what you were saying about how much they want to, how the wonderful people, how much they want to help you. I think it's not nearly as much as that they're that wonderful and want to help you as much as they want to make sure everybody beats the prop companies because they went through so much
yeah,
crap to
everybody
learn how
wants
to
to be
do
beat.
it
Yeah.
that they're ready just to peel it off.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that if you're going to go the prop trader accelerator route, um, it's important to know that the software, let's say you have five or six or seven accounts, like different prop accounts, you could put the software on all of them
Right.
and you can run them all at the same time.
Right.
You don't have to just run one and run
Trader.
trade copier on this one and do this one. Now, if you're trading different markets, right, and you say, okay, this one I'm trading the ES, this one I'm trading the MES, where the software will work on any market that we've built it for, and the HVAs, and we draw them for the ES, the NQ, the Dow,
Oh,
right, the
gold.
YM,
And
the
all the
6P,
micros. Yep.
and then yeah, and then all so there's six markets plus then all the micros that come along with it. So there's a ton of opportunities. And one thing I will say too with the master key, which is all the software, the education, Patrick does mentorships where he teaches people how to draw HVAs. That comes with the master key program. At that point, it's a step up where you're talking $9,500 for the year. That's it. We're not, like I said, we're not a $20,000 a year type of program. Well, let me rephrase. We're absolutely a $20,000 a year type program, but we
Oh,
don't charge that because we understand why people are here. It's people are here to learn how to take a skill that is going to protect their asses, right? In the event that say they lose their job or they retire and their income stream's not the same. When we take people like that and we help them get to the level that they're able to be consistent, we'll get three, four, five, six referrals from you. And you're going to pay it forward, right? So we don't need to charge $20,000. We don't need to charge $15,000. We would like to, but we don't need to. We'd much
right.
rather have successful traders that share it with their friends, neighbors, loved ones.
Exactly.
And I mean,
And they,
she's still in this webinar. I still don't know why she's here. I'm sure. Oh, wait, you know why? Because the Red Wings aren't in the playoffs.
well, there's that.
Well, neither are the Blackhawks, so I just had to throw some
Now she's
shade.
showing up at your house.
So, does anyone have any other questions? And I'm gonna post my schedule link one more time so you can just click on it. If you want to talk to me about anything, um, click on the link. It'll take you right to my calendar and schedule 20 minutes with me. And just a spoiler alert, if you schedule 20 minutes with me, I said this webinar was going to be a half an hour. It's an hour and a half. So it
You
won't
beat
just
me to
be
the
20
punch, Joe.
minutes.
That's what I was gonna say.
I was optimistic.
We over deliver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get on me about that,
I
man.
call
You
I
you
call Rhonda to see how's it going, and 45 minutes later, she's like, I gotta get back to work.
so do I.
So, any other questions?
You're welcome, Margie.
Absolutely, Margie. So guys, just to follow up to this, there will be an email that will go out that will have a copy of the recording of this, as well as all of the relevant links for everything Joe talked about, as well as scheduling links to get on with Joe or a member of our team. I strongly encourage you, if you have questions, anything like that, don't hesitate to ask. You don't think it's a stupid question. Don't think this. Find out. The other thing is, and I've said this now, 2 weeks ago when we talked about prop trading, we talked about the prop trader's blueprint. The best time to get started in this is right now. You might have a great job. You might have what you perceive as plenty of retirement assets. You might be in a position where you say, "Oh, I'll do this in a year or two from now." Don't wait. Get this skill under your belt. Have it so when you do ever need it, if you ever need it, you have the ability to just turn it on. I cannot stress how important that is, guys. Okay, that is absolutely that. I wish I had started earlier, and I wish my kids had started earlier. I started one of my sons, guys, at 16 years old. I started him trading just because I think it's that important of a skill set. I think everyone should have it. In today's economy, it's a necessity.
My
So
13-year-old son is looking to get into it. And
yeah,
you know what the reality is? They'll probably catch on quicker because they don't have the bad habits. They
yep.
haven't tried a half a dozen other programs. They
They
didn't go
like
through
video games.
YouTube looking at all these quote unquote YouTube traders.
And they don't
Yep.
know everything yet.
Right.
Yes. Not yet. My 16-year-old son did know everything, but
Well,
I don't think
well,
Joe's 13-year-old
I
will
think
yet.
so. He's not trading yet, right? He's solving all the world's problems first.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct. Yeah.
got it.
And Scott, you asked what can you realistically scale to? This is something that Mike and I were speaking about before, and I want to impress this upon you.
Here.
It's entirely up to your tolerance. I have
Yep.
traders who refuse to trade minis, will only trade micros, and they're doing thousands of dollars of profit a week. If you mention to them to trade minis, they'll lose their freaking minds. They won't be able to do it. They'll freak out. They can't. It's entirely up to you and what your tolerance is.
So
If you
Scott,
can,
yeah, yeah. Scott, we've got traders, and actually I was just having this conversation with Ryan. I was literally on the call with him beforehand. We have traders, guys, in our companies that are making there's traders making over $70,000 a month from prop trading. Okay, 70. There's also traders adding 1,500 bucks to $2,000 to whatever it is that they make every month.
that's all they
Okay,
want.
Right.
that's all they want.
Well,
They don't
and
want to take the risk and they don't want to add to it. Yeah,
that's you also got to factor in the prop firm because some of them limit you to 5 accounts, some of them let you get 20.
right,
And then
right.
now if one lets you get 20 and another one lets you get 10, you can have 30 accounts at two different firms. And if you're ripping it and you're making $1,000, $2,000 a day, right, you're gonna have a 22 to $25,000 a month.
Yep. Yep. And
How
they're not
much
uncommon. They're not uncommon.
But
Um,
here, but I think just to point this out real quick is that because I get asked that a lot on a lot of the calls that I do. Don't concern yourself with can I make 10,000 or more a
Yeah.
month? Start with learning how to make like $100 a day.
1,500 bucks.
Yeah, like let's start
Yeah.
with that and then scale up from there because it's
There
a
was actually,
repeatable skill.
yep. There was actually just an article, and if I can find it,
Was
I'll
that the
bring it in here real quick.
$70,000 a month kid
The
or
kid
something like
making,
that?
yeah, he was talking about, oh, I'm a trader, and they said, what do you trade? He says, I trade prop accounts. Why would I use my own money when I can use other people? Hold on, let me find the article real quick, and I'll share it. But Scott, in answer to your question, a lot of it is. A lot of it is number one, how much time you want to commit to it. Number two, what your risk tolerance is. Number three, you got to remember it doesn't happen overnight. You scale to those levels. There's a webinar we did a couple of weeks ago called the Prop Trader Blueprint. And what it teaches people is how to go from, and this is the business plan that we were talking about earlier. It teaches people how to go from the one single prop account to using that account to finance other accounts to getting a number of accounts open, then using trade copiers to be able to copy trade between programs, to being able to use the software to execute. So you're looking at multiple markets. And then, when you hit that point where you've got, $500,000 under
Under
management,
management. Yeah.
right? And you're hitting 3%, 4% a month on that account. Do the math. Your net take home is over $20,000.
You
So,
can even
so
simplify it. 500 bucks a day, 5 days a week is 2,500 bucks a week. That's 10 grand a month. That's
right,
only 500 bucks a day. So if you have
right.
10 prop accounts that you just make $100 a day on, you're
Yep.
already above that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to, and the biggest thing I think is take your time. Get
Hmm.
good. And oh, Rhonda, you just wrote it. That's
Yeah.
literally what I was going to say. Get good at base hits. You successful traders, the reason prop accounts have you doing the consistency rule is to teach you how important the base hits are. Because one thing you can do, you can't always find home runs, but there's a whole lot more base hits out there. And if you
Yep.
get a base hit and you take that same base hit in 15 accounts, you just did 15 times that little base hit. So if it's a $100 winner, a $75 winner, you get 15 times that amount that day. And then you do it again. And then you do it again. And all you're doing is looking for those, because those little winners are a lot easier to find. Okay. But the trick is you can't get greedy. Okay. You can't get greedy and you can't try to push the envelope. I think that's the other thing. I think we see that a lot where they want to push the envelope and want to just follow the damn rules. Like it's
Right.
that simple, you
Well,
know?
that's the $1,000 a day, right? People don't get into trading to make $100 a day. I get it. But if you
Right.
can't make $100 a day, you're not going to make a
You're not
thousand.
making 1,000.
Yeah.
Yep. Chris, we use Replicanto. What do you use, Joe? I use
I use
I
my
use
own.
Joe uses his
Yeah.
own. There's a number of different ones out there. It depends on what firm you're using, and if you're also I like to use it to trade both my um, personal accounts and my prop accounts at the same time, so I don't have to go in and co-execute. And there's certain ones that allow you to do that. There's a pretty good variety. What's Traders Post is the one that we use a lot. And yes,
Yeah,
certain
Well, yeah,
platforms.
the platform is a huge consideration.
Yeah.
So like if you get wealth charts, I don't, like there's not as many options as if you had Ninja Trader, right? So
Yep.
there's also data choices, right? So I prefer Tradeovate data over Rhythmic data,
Yep.
where somebody may prefer one or the other. There's there's a lot of different variables, and if you talk to me, you'll find out quickly what I prefer. And I will
Right.
say, because I do this a lot and I follow the Discord groups on like Apex and stuff like that, I don't pay attention to what people make. I pay attention to what people complain about.
Right.
So then I know where the pitfalls are, right? And when I see people complaining about rhythmic data, right, and Tradeovate's owned by Ninja Trader, right? Not that we care which one you use. If one works for you, it's great. There's also variables with your internet that you got to consider. Is there packet loss, right? There's so many things that could go wrong. The key with trading is to minimize what could go wrong by minimizing the amount of time you spend trading, right?
Right.
So if you
Right.
get good at
Right.
executing one or two trades, walk away, be done. Don't even risk it, because the last thing, and I've heard this from people, they get into a trade and all of a sudden they hear connection lost, and they were in a trade that they thought, and then next thing you know, they blew off and their account blew up, right?
Yep.
Because they didn't log into, say, Tradeovate online, or their internet went down, or they were trading on Wi-Fi, right? So
Right.
the more things you can remove from the picture, the better off you'll be.
Yep. This was the article I was looking for. It was in MoneyWise. Nashville man making 30 to $90,000 a month day trading.
That's a
So
big
you
spread.
sounds great, right? He was on the Ramsey show. But then you dive into the article and you find out he's prop trading. He's not even using his own money. He's prop trading and he's using multipliers.
Yep.
So, why not? And I love his answer to this. Why they asked him why not use your own money. He said, why would I? I'll just use other people's money. It's less risk for me. So, yeah. And there's a guy
Yeah.
making, 30 to 90. And again, right there is evidence, it's not also the consistency isn't always there. You'll have $30,000 months, $90,000 months. He's talking about you'll have $3,000 months, you'll have $9,000 months. As you get better, you learn to be more consistent, you know.
Right. And when you decide to go down this journey, just understand we're not going to let you go at it alone. So if you
Right?
decide to sign up and you're going to go with the prop account, you have a ninja, I'm going to help set up your charts and dial you in to make sure that you're set up for success pretty quickly, right? Now, what you do with it, again, this is the discipline. You have to participate, you have to put in the work. You have to sorry, I just read Margie's
Yeah,
comment.
exactly.
As soon as I said that, everyone got PTSD and like, connection lost. Ah! So, but we're gonna get you set up for success pretty quickly. Um, Understanding we can't guarantee anybody's success. That's just the nature of the business. But I want you to know that we're gonna be here by your side. You just got to show up. 90% of what you're gonna get, we're gonna give you. You just got to provide that extra 10%. You really do. I mean, this is almost done for you in a way that, like, it's almost too good to be true
I
because
can't
we've
make you
taken a lot
squeeze
of
the
it away.
trigger, guys.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
make you do it.
Yeah,
You've got to decide that you want to squeeze the trigger. You may only be waiting for reversals. You may be only waiting for gap fill. Whatever we find works best for you, you still have to squeeze the trigger. You have to manage it. It's the end of the
that's
story.
it.
so
I think that looks like the end
well,
of the questions, guys.
yeah, that's last call, closing time. I queue up the semisonic.
Hold on one second. I'm going to stop the recording.